Happy Friday, everyone. I forgot how to do this just a minute ago, so sorry about that. It's another episode of Mavens of Manufacturing. It's the first episode of 2023, and I'm really excited to have Haley Hopt here from IQ Manufacturing. Before we get started, I just want to give a shout out to our sponsor this week of Factory Fix, who is a manufacturing talent platform that combines the power of a talent network featuring over 400,000 skilled manufacturing pros and a recruiting platform built specifically for the manufacturing industry. If you are joining us today, feel free to drop comments below. I will try to pull those in, and if you have any questions for Haley, make sure to drop those as well too. Haley, welcome to Mavens of Manufacturing. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing very well. I'm super excited. It's 2023, and I have already a list of great guests to join us on Mavens of Manufacturing. And, you know, the new year is pretty exciting time because new things are happening. People reprioritize their things. So how about we start off with you today, and can you just give us a background about yourself and, you know, who IQ Manufacturing is and maybe some of the things you're looking forward to for 2023?
Sure. First, I just want to say thank you so much for letting me be on here. It's seriously such an honor just to be on the show, but not only that, be the first one for the new year. So I'm super grateful to be here. So thank you for that. But for anyone who's viewing who doesn't know me, my name's Haley, and I am the social media manager at IQ Manufacturing. IQ Manufacturing is a job shop. We will cut anything from titanium to foam and Ren. We manufacture components for the aerospace, automation, automotive, and defense industries. We specialize in high-mix, low-volume work. We do a lot of car models, cores, cavities, and a ton of detail work. We are headquartered right here in Auburn Hills, Michigan. We're right across from TI Automotive and less than a mile from the Chrysler plant here in Auburn Hills, so that's really cool. And yeah, I definitely never saw myself going into this industry, so it's super cool to be here and really dive into that.
Yeah. So where were you expecting to be? Like, what was your plan? Because I know a lot of us get asked that question, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I was one of those people where I was like, I don't freaking know what I want to do. And then when I got into high school, and I've said this multiple times before, I tested really well in English, and everybody's like, oh, you're going to be a teacher. And I'm like, I don't want to do that. So what was your life plan when you were in high school? And how did that change for you?
So I've said this before, but I had no idea what I wanted to do or where I wanted to go. Like when I entered college, I wanted to do like speech pathology, and then that switched to like pediatrician, and then that switched to it switched so many times. So I think I was just lost and didn't know what I wanted to do. But I fell into this industry by complete accident. So this was like so far off. I didn't even know what manufacturing was before I started in the industry. So. Mm-hmm. I didn't know what I wanted to do, and now I'm here, and I never want to leave. So it's really cool.
How did you get connected with IQ?
So, okay, I got into manufacturing in March of 2020, or April of 2020.
Okay.
So before, I was working at a community college, and when COVID took over the world, schools were one of the first things to shut down. So I remember my boss at the time coming up to me and being like, we're going to send you home for a week. And then that week turned into 2. And then before I knew it, it was like 2 to 3 months in, and I still wasn't back to work. So I was like, I need to find something to do because I can't sit at home anymore. It was just boring, and I'm a busybody. But I had some acquaintances in the industry who had a small CNC shop, and they needed some help. So I went there to work part-time at first, but then they were short-staffed, so it turned into a full-time thing. And I worked with them for about a year, and then I didn't really see any room for much growth there. So I kind of ventured out, and I was like, I want to stay in manufacturing. So I looked on Indeed, and I stumbled across IQ Manufacturing. And I looked into them, and I looked into what they did, and I was like, this might be a good path for me. So I remember I applied in like March of 2021, and I got called for an interview 2 weeks later. I interviewed on a Friday, and they offered me the job Saturday. So it was a very smooth transition, very fast, but it was great. And I've been here for almost 2 years, so it's awesome.
You said something really interesting just now. You said that you wanted to stay in manufacturing. What was it about the sector that you fell in love with that you wanted to continue your journey in the same sector? Because I hear that a lot, you know, especially from newbies that come into the sector from a different industry. They're like, I just love the sector so much I didn't want to leave. And I myself like tried higher education and got really bored with it. And I was like, I need to get back into engineering and manufacturing. What was it for you that you made that decision that you wanted to return to it?
So one of the things I fell in love with when I first started was being able to see like these raw pieces of material on our shop floor turn into this intricate and amazing work piece that we see in everyday life. And I really liked seeing that because I come from like a little creative background. And honestly, it's like art pieces that they're making out there. So it was really cool for me to come in and see them make something that was nothing at one point into something amazing. So I really enjoyed seeing that. And then I do like a challenge. And as most of the people who work in this industry know, it is always a challenge. It is always changing. And I really like being able to like see where I'm like, see what areas I'm good at and what I'm not good at. So it's really cool to see that. And I like being in this industry, and I don't think I'm ever going to leave it, honestly.
Were you intimidated to not be very knowledgeable in what you were working with? And how has IQ Manufacturing sort of helped train you on what their processes are and the products that they make?
So yeah, when I first started, I knew nothing. And coming from that first CNC shop, it was a little bit of a smoother transition for me because I knew like the basic terms and stuff, and I knew some of that. But being here at IQ is totally different because our CEO and our COO want to help all of us grow. So when they explain things to me, they'll like use analogies in everyday life to get me to understand what's going out on the shop floor. And it really like helps me like dial in and be like, oh, I understand how that works. And then my favorite part is like when I first got here, I had no idea how to use our manual inspection tools. So our CEO went out with me on the floor and like showed me how to do it. And it wasn't like a one-day thing where they were like, okay, we're just going to show you how to do it and never touch it again. Like they showed me how to do it, and he'll give me tasks every now and again and be like, hey, can you go measure this with the calipers? So they're like refreshing my mind every now and again, and it really helped like the learning process. And now I know how things work on the shop floor too. So it overall just worked out great.
That's really interesting. I thought it was cool too because you just recently posted a video about what a day in the life looks like for you, and you ended the video with you entering your quoting platform,
Yes.
which is I noticed it was like paperless parts, so shout out to them. But you're starting to learn that side of the business too, which I think is really cool because what your job is basically social media, and you're part of the marketing team. So
Right.
can you explain, IQ Manufacturing's social media strategy before you came on board and what you are bringing to the table for them?
So social media wise, I know before I came here, we had a lot of work to do to build it up. So our CEO, when the company first started, did a lot of that marketing and social media. And when things started ramping up here and they started growing, that kind of got put on the back burner. So when I got here, it was like we had to kind of start from where we were at, but build it even larger. And it was really cool to do that because now, like today, it's huge. We get so much interaction, and it's really cool to be a part of it. So yeah, it's just really cool to see that it went from something small to something big, and it's just going to keep getting bigger.
Right. I know from experience, like social media in the beginning kind of turned some businesses off because it wasn't necessarily considered a professional platform that you could get really good qualified leads from. So from your side of things, do you have any tips that you can provide other manufacturers who might be struggling with their social media strategy? Because it's different from other marketing assets that you could be creating for your company. So you can do anything from like blogs and video and your website stuff, and also like articles for trade publications.
Yeah.
What sort of tips do you have for manufacturers that they can start thinking about in terms of their social media strategy and the channels that they want to start targeting with their content?
So I would say my biggest tip is to stay consistent with it. You got to start somewhere, and it might be small at first, but if you're consistently posting and people are seeing your face and learning what you're doing and seeing the services that you provide every single day, that's going to help them remember who you are and know who you are when you're showing up at trade shows or events where you're going to meet people in person. I've been at IQ for coming up on 2 years now, and I've posted, and it can get exhausting sometimes, but I've posted every single day for that 2 years that I've been here. And people, the first 8 months, it was a little bit like trying to get off my feet. But now it's like, well, I'll walk into a room and they're like, oh, you're Haley with IQ. So it's really cool to be able to do that and see that. Another tip that I have is create different content for each social platform. And I learned this one this year, but when you're posting the same exact thing on like LinkedIn or Facebook or Twitter or Instagram or wherever you're at, if you're posting the same exact thing on all different platforms, the same people might follow you on each platform, and then they're not even looking at it on the other platforms if they've already seen it once. So it's not helping your viewership on these other platforms. So I personally try and switch that up now. If I post something on Facebook, it's not the same thing that goes on LinkedIn. So that's another really good tip.
What are the channels that you're using the most for IQ?
Definitely LinkedIn. That's the primary one. That's the one I update all the time. But we just picked up Twitter and Facebook this year. And then I have a personal IQ Instagram account that I post from, but the company itself isn't on Instagram.
That's interesting that you said Twitter, because I'm hearing that more and more people are actually gravitating back towards that platform. And I'm curious as to hearing their reasons why. What were some of the reasons that you decided to pick Twitter? Because when I started last year thinking about a strategy for Mavens and what platforms to be on, I started on the trade publication, and Twitter was really popular among manufacturers. And then LinkedIn came along, and they all seemed to switch to LinkedIn and not so much be on Twitter. But now they're starting to gravitate back towards that platform. So what were you seeing where you said, yeah, I want to use this platform to start promoting some of our content? Because I think it's interesting how it's going back and forth like that.
Yeah. Personally, on a personal basis, I strongly dislike Twitter. Like, it's my least favorite application, if we're being honest. But for IQ, before I got here, I'm not sure what like strategy they used, to be honest, but our CEO was able to build up the Twitter like crazy. The company started in 2015, and we have almost 1,000 followers on that account. And I'm going to be honest, I haven't done that much on there. So I don't really know what he did to get there, but I do see, like with IMTS, they have an account on Twitter, and there's so many shops or people who run shops or machinists on there looking at stuff. So it's definitely a site you want to get on to be able to get more word out about your companies or what you're doing, because it's just another demographic to get.
Yeah. So I want to get into our comments a little bit, because some of them are already commenting on the Twitter discussion. But LinkedIn user, I don't know who this is. Happy Friday, all. Happy Friday to you too. If you want to drop your name in, I can say who it is. And then we have Whitney. Hello, Whitney. Thanks for joining us. And of course, Courtney from UR. Hi, Courtney. She did an amazing live yesterday on Automation Ladies. So if you missed that, make sure to go to their channel and catch that, because she's amazing and I love her. And then we have Chris Lukey from Manufacturing Happy Hour. You do love Twitter, Chris, and I am curious as to why. And you have some more comments on here. It's awesome for posting instant, non-curated content. Okay, that's a good point. I'm not a Twitter fan either. I've noticed that I think it's a generational thing too, because I don't have a huge issue with Twitter, but I know that my daughter's like, ugh, no one likes that. She'd rather be on like TikTok or Snapchat. And then I promise I was typing that before. So she didn't like it. And then LinkedIn user Chris Lukey, you do great work with your live events. Yes, he does. Thanks, Carol. I'm assuming that's Carol then. Love you too. Joni. Hi, Joni. Hey, ladies. We have Kyra or Kira. If I pronounced your name wrong, I'm sorry. I never been on Twitter. I guess I need an education on that platform. And then Jenna. Hi, Mavens. Hi, Jenna. Thanks for joining us. So yeah, Twitter, another person that uses it very well, and I call him the Twitter master, is Will Healy, if you're familiar with him. And one of the things that I want to start doing now, that I noticed him doing when we were at a show together, is with keynote presentations that he attends, he uses it as his note-taking platform. So like he'll listen to a speaker, and any kind of quotes that he wants to remember, he'll instantly tweet it, and then that's his Twitter content. And I thought that was a really cool idea, because Twitter updates all the time. I think it's one of the platforms where it's constantly updating. So I think within like 5 minutes, your tweet, and don't quote me on this, I don't know the statistics, but like within 5 minutes, your tweet doesn't matter anymore from the time you tweeted it out. So you can constantly update it more and more, and it doesn't get annoying like it does on some platforms. So yeah, I'm gonna have to start using that platform more and see what happens. But I think it's interesting that you did that. So in terms of the content that you're posting, what types of content or, topics are you posting about? So I know with different platforms, you get more engagement on the type of content. So like Instagram is really good for videos and photos. LinkedIn is good for a variety of things. I've seen different types of content on there. What are you focusing on for each platform?
So for Instagram, it's definitely more video. They've definitely pushed that. So it's like the little TikTok or Reels, they call it, those types of videos.
Yeah.
I do post photos there or time and again, but it definitely, the viewership on those has went down since they changed that platform. But LinkedIn, I post about everything. Honestly, that's the platform where I post like the photos and the videos and the time lapses and all that stuff. And then Facebook, it's a completely different like demographic on there. I post like these informational things where it's like a little graphic with some information about IQ, how to find us, where to find us to quote and stuff like that. So it's a little bit the same on some platforms, but like Facebook's completely different than the other two.
Mm-hmm. Are you using any automation tools like TweetDeck or something to help post consistently, or are you doing it manually for each
I am
platform?
doing it manually.
I'm one of those people too. A lot of people are like, why don't you just use this tool? And I'm like, because you can't customize it as easily.
Right.
Or maybe I'm doing something wrong. I don't know. But I feel like I do a lot better job doing it manually on each channel. And I get criticized for it so much by some people. And it's like, it just looks more authentic if you do it manually for each channel. That's just my opinion though. So if I offend anybody with that comment, I'm sorry. But we have more comments. We have Pablo. Hi, Pablo. Thanks for joining us today. He just started a podcast. Pablo, drop the name of your podcast in the comments because I can't remember it. And I'm sorry, but I think it's called How It Started, how it all started or something. So he's following people on their journey through entrepreneurship, and I think it's really cool. So make sure you join that. We have Hank, who is the junior board of directors. Thanks for joining us. His daughters are amazing. I hope to meet them in person someday because they're a huge fan of the show. And then Chris said, Will is a master at Twitter. Yes, live tweeting keynotes is a great way to use that platform. Whitney says, Kyra, if you get on Twitter, please join the U.S. Manufacturing Twitter chat. I'll have to see if I join that too, Whitney. I don't think I'd have. Oh, they're just talking to each other. I'm with you ladies on the manual. Thank you, Joey. And that's just hello, Tim. Thanks for joining us. Tim has a great channel too. He, his wife, Mary, and their 2 kids, they're just awesome family to follow. Like that's family goals for anyone who wants to be part of an awesome family. Watch Tim and his family because they are just spectacular and they create fun videos and they make manufacturing fun and not boring. And then Tanya, I agree on posting manually, usually because I change what I'm going to say a lot before I actually hit post. That's a great point. So the other thing that I like about you is you post a lot of selfies and you're known as the hat lady. So can you kind of dive in what that is? And this is kind of lead into the next question that I have, because I know a lot of people on LinkedIn specifically have had some complaints about people posting selfies or more personal information. And I've had conversations with women like Lauren and Joni who do a lot of personal posts too. And I think it adds, to the humanizing of brands. So how has your personal channel helped IQ and vice versa? Like, how are they working together to bring awareness of what manufacturing is and what IQ manufacturing does within their industries?
So first with the hats, that like took me by surprise because people just started calling me the hat girl. And I honestly, I don't know if it was because they didn't know my name or just didn't know how to pronounce my name. But I just kind of went with that. People just started bringing in hats and it's cool. It's fun. And I love hats. So I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
As far as the personal branding, that wasn't something that was planned for IQ at first. We kind of talked about it and we're like, oh, I think this is something that we should do. But it's definitely helped in a sense because people not only know what the company does, but they know me on a more personal level. So when they come in, people will be like, I feel like I already know you, or I feel like I've known you for years. And it's
Yeah.
because of what we post. And I try really hard to relate some of those posts back to IQ. So I'm not just always talking about myself or the things that I do in my daily life, but I'm relating it in a way to where they can be like, oh, let's check out this company. So it's definitely helped a lot, and it has brought so many people to our company page as well on LinkedIn. We've been getting a lot of interaction on there, so it's really cool to see that grow and be a small part of that, and know that people know who I am. And now that they know who I am, they know who our chief operating officer is, and our CEO, and we have a machinist who's on there, and our apprentice. So it's definitely like blown up. It's grown so much, and it helps in every aspect.
So in terms of like big no's with social strategy, what are your thoughts on things that manufacturers should avoid when developing out their social strategy, and what's content they shouldn't post? Because I think that's a hard question, and I think it depends on what sector you're in, who your audience is, like how you're going to determine what is good to post and what's not good to post. So from your perspective, what are some of the things you don't post and why? If that
So
makes sense.
I guess I already mentioned it. When I said not posting the same thing on every social platform, that's definitely no, that won't help you with viewership. But it really does depend on what kind of shop you're running or what kind of work you're doing. Like in here, we don't post parts or our machines or our parts being machined in the shop because we're an ITAR registered company and have to keep that quiet. So like, I guess it just depends on what your company wants to get out there and what they want to show. As far as like personal posts, a lot of people have a problem with it, but which I don't really understand because it lets people know who you are. And it's not like I don't understand the issue behind it, but I get comments all the time in DMs where people are like, why did we need to know this? And I'm like, I don't know, because I felt like telling you. Like, if you don't want to hear it, don't follow me.
My favorite comment has been, this isn't Facebook. And I'm like, you're right, it's not. And you have the ability to scroll or block me.
Yeah.
Just do that.
When people are like, it's not Facebook, I so badly just want us to like comment back and be like, where were the rules on LinkedIn that said I couldn't post this? Like, the rules.
Right. Who is that? Who's that leader? Who's in charge of that? That's what I want to know. Or I did upset one person because they were like, this is not Facebook. So I just dropped my Facebook link as a response, and that didn't make them too happy. So I was like, oh, I probably shouldn't do that again because I'll make people mad. So I want to start talking about the current state of manufacturing because we are facing the skills gap. And, you know, you said when you entered the sector, you really didn't know what manufacturing was. And I feel like that's still a thing going on, even with families who grew up with manufacturing, and they're kind of scared that it's not a stable place for their kids to have a great career pathway because of what happened in the late 90s, early 2000s, around the time that I was in high school. I mean, within my community, several of our major manufacturers shut down, and the kids that I went to high school with who were like, yeah, I have a job, didn't have a job anymore. So it kind of makes people hesitant to want to come into the sector. So are there certain things that IQ Manufacturing is doing to reach the next generation and really get them excited about the opportunities? Because I know there's some conversation around TikTok, especially now with the whole ban conversation going on, debate going on. But that's like, and I always revert back to my daughter because she's part of Generation Z. And the channels that she's on, I'm always paying attention to because I'm like, okay, if she's on this all the time, to the point where when I'm calling her name and she's ignoring me significantly, like how do I get my content on those channels so at least exposing them to them? What are your thoughts on that? Like, what are some of the things you're doing, maybe even some of the creative things that you're doing that other manufacturers can kind of pull inspiration from so that we can start getting kids excited about the sector again?
So I definitely agree, like getting on all the social platforms that these kids are on is going to help them see what we're doing. I was super against TikTok for the longest time because people would always talk about how addicting it was. And I was like, I can't get into that because I'll be on my phone for hours looking at that stuff. But I recently just made an account, so we'll see where it goes. But as far as IQ, we have a formal apprenticeship program with the state of Michigan and Oakland Community College. So what we
Okay.
do is we bring in these kids from the machine tool technology program at OCC, and they come and work with us, and then they take classes at the school after they're done working, and they're learning while they're earning, so they're getting paid to do this. And we have 2 of them here actually right now, and it's just really cool to see like a high school age kid wanting to come in here and then going out of this apprenticeship program with a degree and years of experience and a job, a steady job. Another thing that we're doing, which I haven't really announced yet, so I'm not going to say too much about it, but I'm joining a committee for an association who drives women in STEM or young women in STEM.
Nice.
So what they're doing is they have these events throughout the year, and they bring these girls, young girls of like all ages, and they make activities that are fun for them and get them involved in engaging with like the manufacturing or aviation or any type of those fields. And I wasn't a part of it last year, but I saw like the events that they were doing, and they brought in like Girl Scouts, and they had an entire event where they were like making things, and it's just super cool. And some of these girls have walked out of their high school careers knowing people in these big companies and having them as mentors and being able to get full-time jobs out of it. So I'm excited to jump into that and be able to push that forward for young women in STEM industries.
That's really cool. When we are offline, I'll follow up with you because I'm interested in getting more involved with committees like that and communities like that. And if there's anything that Mavens can do to either help sponsor some of the events or donate something, let me know. And I can send T-shirts too. There was a group in Ireland where they focused on getting girls really excited about the trades. So I just sent out a bunch of T-shirts out there, and they're like, "This is awesome, thanks." I'm like, "Yeah, let me know if you need more," because I feel like if we can build that common bond between, and build up the confidence, they'll be more willing to come join the sector. We do have Mark Berger. I hope that's your last name. If not, I'm sorry, Berger. I think if your posts align with your core values, you are on target. Yes, I agree with you. And then Joni, can you guys send me that info as well? So yes, please. And Joni's out in Michigan, right? Joni, you're out in Michigan. So yeah, please, let's keep in touch about that because I feel it's important that we support one another and help each other out. Well, this has been awesome, Haley. I really appreciate you coming on. But before I let you go, I always want to ask people, what is your biggest ask for our audience that you have, or if you can't answer that question, what advice would you give to manufacturers in terms of, just doing what they're doing with their social media strategy?
I would definitely say keep pushing the industry. I have talked to so many people who like there's these stigmas around the industry that may have been a thing way back when, but now they're not. We just need to spread that education to people and be like, no, these shops aren't dirty. No, there's a place for everyone here. It's not just female or not just male. So I think we definitely need to push that. And as far as advice for the social media, consistency is key. So just keep it up. It's not going to go off right away. So just keep doing it and it'll build over time and you won't regret it. So
yeah,
keep doing it.
I think that's awesome. And I think, there are some like negative stereotypes that still exist out there. And you're going to always have your bad apples in groups. But I feel like this is getting to be a more exciting sector, especially with all of the advancements in technology. So it's not something just for mathematicians and scientists. Like if you're creative, you have a spot here in engineering and manufacturing. So we just got some last minute comments. SWEOC is funding young girls to get experience in manufacturing by sponsoring girls through Urban Workshop. Can you drop your name, LinkedIn user? Because I want to connect with you after this and ask you more about that. And your name's not showing up in the tag. And we could get your help in getting sponsorship. Oh, Society of Women Engineers. Yep. So if you can drop your name in the comments, I'll reach out to you afterwards because, yes, I'm interested in that. So thank you for sharing that information. And anyone else who's joining us, if you have other ideas or groups that, are doing amazing things and they need help, please let me know because I like highlighting those on Mavens of Manufacturing too. So Haley, thank you so much again. I really appreciate it. If anybody has questions for you or about IQ Manufacturing, where should they go and how can they get in touch with you?
So IQ Manufacturing is on LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook. I am on LinkedIn and Instagram, and you can email me at haley@iqmanufacturing.com.
Thank you so much. Well, I hope everybody enjoyed this episode of Mavens of Manufacturing. Tune in next week because we have another great episode. I hope you all have a great weekend. Have a good one. Take care of yourself. Bye, everyone.
We know hiring quality manufacturing talent isn't always easy and that there can be a lot of moving parts. That's why Factory Fix is introducing a powerful new tool, Talent Text. No more candidate no-shows. Talent Text allows you to connect with candidates up to 5 times faster than you or even the best recruiter can. Job openings happen overnight. Candidates fall by the wayside and emails get buried and forgotten. Through 3-directional chat, Factory Fix Talent Pros help put you in the hand of a highly skilled worker within seconds. Find quality faster at factoryfix.com.